Have you ever seen something so powerful, so breathtakingly beautiful, that it completely stops you in your tracks? It's that kind of moment that stays with you, replaying in your mind long after it's over. That's what happens every single time BTS's Jimin steps on stage. He isn't just a performer, he's an artist in the truest sense. Every performance he gives isn't just a display of talent, it's a story, a journey, a raw and intimate expression of something deeper. Today, we're diving into the artistry of Jimin and exploring 5 unforgettable moments where he didn't just perform. He created pure magic. Grab your favorite drink, seriously, hold on to it, and let's get started. Let's begin with the 2016 Mama Awards, where Jimin delivered one of the most daring performances of his career, Boy Meets Evil. Close your eyes and picture this. The stage is dark, the music begins to swell. Jimin walks out, his face covered by a blindfold. Immediately, there's tension, a sense of anticipation, and then in one fluid motion, he spins 360 degrees and lands perfectly facing the audience. Now, performing blindfolded isn't just a technical challenge. It's a statement. It's saying, I trust my instincts. I trust my body. I trust my art. And in that moment, Jimin wasn't just a dancer or a singer. He was an artist pushing the boundaries of what's possible on stage. The combination of his precision, his control, and his emotional intensity left the audience completely mesmerized. Critics called it one of the most daring performances of the night, and honestly, I couldn't agree more. That spin? It wasn't just choreography, it was poetry in motion. Fast forward to 2019 at the Melon Music Awards, and Jimin once again proved why he's in a league of his own. His solo stage for I Need You wasn't just a performance, it was a confession. Every step he took, every gesture, every expression, it all felt so deeply personal. This wasn't just dancing, it was storytelling. His movements weren't just precise, they were filled with emotion, like every inch of his body was carrying the weight of the song's longing and heartbreak. Critics described it as watching someone pour their soul out right in front of you, and they weren't exaggerating. When Jimin reached out with his hands, it felt like he wasn't just performing for the audience, he was reaching for something within himself. And that vulnerability, it's what made the performance unforgettable. It wasn't just art, it was humanity, laid bare. And then we have Filter, a performance that showed a completely different side of Jimin. This came during the Map of the Soul on E concert, which was conducted entirely online. Now, performing for a digital audience is no small feat. Without the energy of a live crowd, most performers struggle to connect. But Jimin, he shattered the screen. From the moment he stepped on stage, he commanded attention. The performance was a masterclass in contrasts, soft yet powerful, playful yet sultry. His movements were so fluid, so captivating that you couldn't look away. Critics raved about how his charisma seemed to leap through the screen, breaking the barrier between performer and audience. It wasn't just a performance, it was a conversation, an invitation to step into his world. And the best part? It worked. Everyone watching felt like Jimin was performing just for them. That's the kind of magic he brings. And then came Black Swan, a performance that took my breath away. Inspired by ballet, the choreography explored the theme of losing passion for art, a theme that every artist in some way can relate to. But Jimin didn't just perform this story, he became it. Every line of his body, every tilt of his head, every movement, it all felt intentional, like he was sculpting the air around him. Critics described it as watching a swan glide across a lake, graceful on the surface, yet brimming with intensity underneath. But for me, it was more than that. It was a reflection of what it means to struggle with your own creativity, to fight for your passion even when it feels like it's slipping away. Watching Jimin perform Black Swan wasn't just beautiful, it was transformative. It felt like he wasn't just telling his story, he was telling all of ours. And finally, we have Set Me Free Tone 2, from Jimin's solo album Face. This performance wasn't just a highlight of his career, it was a turning point. From the moment the music started, you could feel the intensity. This wasn't a performance about perfection, it was about liberation, about breaking free from constraints, both physical and emotional. The choreography was raw, almost primal. Jimin's movements were bold, unapologetic, filled with a kind of power that felt almost overwhelming. But what struck me the most was the vulnerability beneath it all. There were moments where it felt like Jimin was tearing down walls, not just for the audience but for himself. And that's the thing about Jimin. He doesn't just perform. He lives his art. Watching Set Me Free Tint 2 felt like being invited into his soul. Like he was saying, this is me, this is my story, take it or leave it. And honestly, I'll take it every time. So what is it that makes Jimin the ultimate performer? It's not just his technique, though that alone is jaw-dropping. It's not just his voice, though it's angelic. It's the way he combines every aspect of his artistry, his precision, his emotion, his storytelling, into something that feels like pure magic. When Jimin steps on stage, he isn't just entertaining, he's connecting, he's creating. He's reminding us of the power of art, of what it means to feel, to dream, to live. Whether he's spinning blindfolded, embodying heartbreak, or channeling raw power, Jimin isn't just performing, he's transforming. And that's why we celebrate him, not just as a performer, but as an artist, a storyteller, a visionary. So let's take a moment to thank Jimin for inspiring us, for challenging us, and for reminding us that art has no limits. Let me know in the comments which of his performances left you in awe. And until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, sometimes the most powerful art is the kind that moves you to your core. Bye.